Hello everyone, Dina here from JenBear Designs. Welcome to another of my video tutorials. This one is another sea-themed mixed media collage. I've not shown you the beginning of this piece because it's very similar to 2 or 3 others that I've already done and the videos are posted online. So this one's different because I've put in, it's like a poem. I've mixed and matched a few poems I found online. I've added some phrases of my own. It's just all about seahorses and the sea and the waves and underneath the ocean where it's calm and tranquil. It may not be like that in real life, but in my imagination it is. For the lettering on this particular video, I bought some new pens. I found that my alcohol pens and my marker pens and whatever, everything else didn't work. I needed something that was opaque. So I bought Zig Posterman, they're called. Came in a pack, I think 6 or 8, I'm not quite sure. It does say on the packet quite clearly that they don't work very well on porous surfaces. That's true, they don't. What I found with mine as you watch the videos, I had to do them over and over again to get the depth of colour because it kept soaking into the canvas. And in the end, I put a layer of varnish over it, the piece, and then did a final layer of lettering, and that worked a treat. In hindsight, which is always brilliant, hindsight's always the best way of looking at things. So if I'd used my spray varnish first, and this is the stuff I use, it's a sealant really for craft hobbies, artwork. I do have proper artist quality varnish that I use on my art pieces, but for the multimedia pieces, because I've got so many different types of paint and pencils, and as it happens, these kind of things, I use a sealant because I know it'll cover everything. With the varnish, you don't know what it's going to smudge, what it's going to lift, and how it's going to react with all the different kinds of adhesives as well that are in there. So the sealant works brilliantly. Okay, thank you for watching. If you enjoy what you see, please subscribe and press like and let me know what you think. Thank you. So sit back and relax and enjoy as I struggle to get my lettering correct. I've drawn the lines in and ready with black pen. I wanted a nice gentle wavy feel to the poem. Initially I did a white layer, then I went over it in pink. I've also done some contrast with black. I think it was black Sharpie I used on the black there. Now I'm trying to get the white to pop out using a gel pen. On camera the white already looks quite vibrant, but in real life it had sunk into the canvas quite noticeably and I'd lost a lot of that white clarity. Some of the words were quite difficult to make out in real life. So I've gone over it in white. Then I thought, well, if I go for a contrasting colour, perhaps that would help. So I'm using here a dark purpley blue alcohol marker to see what effect that has. I'm aiming for the words to be part of the canvas. They've got to be legible, obviously, otherwise there's no point in doing them, but I don't want them to overpower all the work that's gone on behind either. And I'm aiming to get that balance between the lettering and the picture and bringing the two together using a similar colour scheme, which I found quite hard because with the same colour scheme you can't see the words. So that is why I tried so many different colours and trying to get the 3D effect with the lettering with the white and the black and the different colours. I made a little bit of a mistake by trying to take the lettering over these seahorses. You'll see what happens in the end. That caused me a lot of grief finally. It took me a long time to sort out that lettering over those seahorses. There we go, I'm just having a good look at that now. With the change of the lighting, you can see just how dark that background actually is. I wanted the depth of the ocean going off into the distance, and here I'm beginning to think, well, I'm losing my seahorses, I'm losing those features that I wanted the whole picture to be about. So I die cut some more. I painted them to match the background of canvas, so I got them to be a coherent piece is what it's all about. And then my turtles, because I want them to be dancing. This is the whole thing about this piece, was the seahorses and the undersea life, and I felt at this point they'd been sort of submerged, if you like, into the canvas. So I'm just adding and bringing some of these features back out to the forefront of the canvas so they're more obvious. So here you can see how I've added lots and lots of more features, details, die cuts to my canvas. There's the obligatory cup of coffee sitting at the side there, going cold, as ever. Just gluing them on with PVA glue, building that picture up, because I felt I'd lost the focus of the picture at this point. So building this up with my die cuts again. And here we go. Now, what I've done here is I've lost a little bit of the video. Where those white bodges are, the seahorses are quite deep now. I've got 2 or 3 layers of card there, and I could not get the lettering to work, so I felt I'm going to have to fill in the gaps in the die cut for me to write over the top of it. Just doing the edges there, neat enough around the sides. So I've filled in the middle of the seahorses with a mixture of white paint and thick texture medium to block it in, to give me a surface that I could actually write on with those new pens. So while I'm waiting for it to dry, it did take a little time to dry, I'm just sorting out the edges on the canvas there. You can see me putting the black around to give it a nice finished look. So now I've got to match the white texture paste to the background colour of the canvas. I'm using the same spray inks that I used in the first place to add the colour to the canvas. So I've got the reds, the yellows, the greens, the blue spray paints, and I'm using exactly the same spray paints, and I'm stippling them on with a brush, just adding them layer by layer by layer and letting each layer dry in between times, and building the colour until where the lettering needs to go, I've got a base that I can work on. Because there's no way I could have got the wording to go over the seahorses now, because the seahorses are standing quite proud of the canvases. They are very prominent on the canvas, so 3 or 4 layers deep here. Gradually building in the colour. I'm going to leave it to dry because, as you know, acrylic paints change colour as they dry, so I have to try and match it and blend it in as best as I could, so you can't tell that it's been adjusted all the way through the painting. There we go, just clean off that layer of paint and leave it to dry. It's still quite obvious, isn't it? Stands out like a bit like a sore thumb, so we'll add another couple of layers of paint and keep building up until it matches the background. And stippling and stippling and stippling. It's the beginning to merge now. We're beginning to look less. All of this is because I've made the lettering go over the seahorses. If I'd taken it round them, or maybe even just put a strip of paper across the seahorses, I wouldn't have had this problem. But it's quite an interesting exercise, trying to get it all to blend in at the end. So now I've got the area around the outside of my seahorses blended in to the background. I'm now going to look at the seahorses themselves and make them more interesting to look at. So I'm going to come in with my palette knife and just start adding paint and glitter and I'm doing it with the palette knife because I don't want the paint to go into those gaps. I want the seahorses to have those spaces in the die cut so you can see that background that I've just recreated very carefully. I don't want to lose that again. So I'm using my palette knife and I'm just scraping that paint across the surface of my seahorses. Very carefully, trying not to get it into the gaps. There's some gone in a little bit there, so I'll just clean it out as best I can. Nothing like a finger to clean up with. We'll just carry on doing that for now, getting those seahorses prominent again in the picture, standing out, which is what I want them to do. Now I've got a whitish background, I can add colour to my seahorses. If I try to put colour on them when they already had colour, I'd just get a sludgy effect. So I'm using ultramarine, yellow ochre and my blue spray and the brush show that I've used in the background to start coming in now and building up the colour back onto my seahorses. Okay, the colour's beginning to build up nicely now. I'm going to use acrylic craft paints, and they are metallic based ones to get a bit of shine onto my seahorses. Just using my finger on this, I find it better control than a sponge dabber. I can feel what I'm doing and I know where it's going quite precisely. So I'm just using a green, a yellow and a copper acrylic craft paint to add extra colour to my seahorses here. And once I'm happy with the colour of the seahorses, I'm going to use a very, very, very fine brush now, and I'm just blocking in some of the background where I've lost that definition from the background. It's a very dark blue. I'm just bobbing in where the white is still showing. It's mainly, I think it's mainly the edges of the seahorses. As I said, there's 3 or 4 layers of card and paper on there now, and it's just where those edges are showing to make sure I'm getting that depth of the image that I want throughout the canvas here. So building it up to make those seahorses pop. Once I've finished all the fine detail, it's time to have some fun now. Get some sparkles in there. It's under the sea, it's glimmering and sparkly, and lots of light splashes we want in there, so I'm adding the sparkles around the edges. I've got a range of these little things like glitter glues, and just trying to pick up the yellow there on the yellow edges where the light would hit at the top and blending those in. Right, now then, this is the sealant spray that I talked about at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to spray this at this point. I've added some of the lettering you can see already with those poster markers, but they're not finished. So now with that spray on, I can go over and add my final layers of lettering and get that final finished effect that I want. So I'm going back in with the white and the blue and the pink to build up my lettering to get that 3D effect of these words flowing through the ocean. With that layer of varnished sealant on there, it was so much easier. The paint is now covering the canvas and it's not sinking in as it was doing. So coming towards the end of it now, I've finished off most of the lettering. I'm putting some low lights and contrast in with a black Sharpie that you can see me putting in there, just to make the last little bit of the lettering stand out, to make it easier to read. Then I'm going in with a silver pen. Again, it's all about trying to make this lettering part of the canvas. It's as part of the artwork as anything else, so I need to spend as much time on it as anything else. And now, with all that work I've done on the seahorses and the lettering, you can see how the words are much more legible, the ones that actually go over the top of my seahorses. There we go, I think it's about finished. Just having a double check. having a good look at it. And a little bit of loose paper sticking up there. I think one of my turtle's legs has come out. We're just adding a little bit of glue to make sure everything's stuck down firmly. Then it'll get another coat of sealant to protect it all, and it'll be ready to go. And here are some of the final photographs for you to have a look at. You can pick out the detail and the glitter and the glimmer and the sparkle, which is gorgeous. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Thank you.